Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and today we're going to talk about Night Thrasher. That's right everybody, I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups for Pop Culture Philosophers, and today we're going to be talking about Night Thrasher, and we're going to start an ongoing discussion about Night Thrasher. Why? Because of Twitter. Seriously, if you're a member of Twitter, you can follow me at the Rockin' Robbie or at Let's Thrasher. And that's Let's Thrasher page is my Let's Talk Night Thrasher page. So I started that page because there wasn't one yet. What's the LT Let's Talk community over at Comics Twitter? It's one of the most amazing things about comic book Twitter right now for me. It's amazing. There's so many great pages that are ran by fans that are dedicated to great characters, series, and teams. Amazing pages out there. So many. Way too many to name, but some of my favorites: Let's Talk Venom, Let's Talk Kate Bishop, Let's Talk Jane Foster. Amazing pages, so many. You just follow a couple of those pages and you'll get this giant just overhaul of so many other pages to follow. They're all a treat. It's a very bright, buoyant, positive community for comic books over at YouTube, and it's amazing. And they immediately welcomed me when I started my Let's Talk Night Thrasher page, which you can find at Let's Thrasher. Night Thrasher is such an amazing character. Dwayne Taylor is great. I loved him when I was a kid. I was just, at the time that this was coming out, 1989-90, we're mostly talking about New Warriors. If you're not familiar with Night Thrasher, he was the leader and founder of the New Warriors. That's another great Let's Talk page you need to find, is Talking New Warriors. Amazing page. And also Let's Talk Nova, of course, my homies out there, my fellow warriors. So it's great to represent this character on Twitter. I absolutely have a huge love for this character, because when this stuff was coming out in the 1990s, early 1990s, I was like 10, 11 years old, right? So I was like so ready to be a teenager, right? And like, admittedly so, I was watching things like 90210 and stuff like that. So the New Warriors to me really was something very relatable. There was somebody there. I mean, it's Nova, it's Speedball, it's Namorita, it's God, goodness, what's her name? I'm blanking right now. Oh my, Firestar. Come on, Robbie. Come on. And of course, Justice, as back in the day he was called Marvel Boy. And other characters came and went, right? But Night Thrasher, to me, was so cool. He didn't have powers. He led a hard life. He decides he's going to use that to fight against crime. He deals with a lot of anger issues at first. I found that character to be very relatable and very cool. I love that suit of armor. I used to try to replicate it with like Pringles cans and like milk gallon jugs and stuff like that. It was embarrassing, it was crazy and all that stuff. Anyway, all of this is to say, the Let's Talk community on Twitter is amazing, and I'm so glad to bring Dwayne, Night Thrasher, into that community, and it's been a pleasure to run this page so far. And you know, I'm not on there all the time. I wish I could post all the time, and I'm gonna try to be better at posting images and stuff all the time, because really fun stuff. But one thing I decided to do is I do videos here on this channel. Let's do Night Thrasher. So I'm going to be doing a reread of Night Thrasher's appearances and adventures throughout the Marvel Universe, starting at the very beginning. So right now, we're getting into it with these two books right here, The Mighty Thor 411 and 412. These are the first official appearances of Night Thrasher and the New Warriors collectively as a team. So let's talk about them. First of all, you notice right there on the front, that's from the Acts of Vengeance story. The Acts of Vengeance story was this Marvel crossover, went through a lot of the Avengers related titles and other ones, right? Where Loki, in disguise, gets all the villains of the Marvel Universe together, and they come up with this plan that we've failed so many times. Maybe we should switch it up, and instead of having Dr. Doom go up against the Fantastic Four all the time, maybe he should go up against someone else. And instead of having this person, Magneto, go up against the X-Men, maybe he should go after the Avengers, right? These other teams are not used to us, right? And so they kind of wreck the Marvel Universe with this plan. Really fun stuff. And in these two issues of Thor, the main gist of this story is that Juggernaut is manipulated by Loki. He's freed because one of the first things Loki does is he frees all the prisoners from the vault, causes this massive prison breakout, right? And so spreading, all these villains spreading chaos throughout the Marvel Universe, especially New York, dealing with teams that are not used to dealing with them and kind of getting the upper hand because of it. Loki sends Juggernaut after Thor. And this is the Eric Masterson days. This is written by Tom DeFalco with artwork by Ron Frenz. So they are the official creators of Dwayne, Night Thrasher. But we will learn very soon in the next video and onward that in the book New Warriors by Fabian Nicieza and Mark Bagley, that's really where the character kind of grew and developed, and it kind of became their baby. Fantastic stuff. So this is the very, very first appearance. Juggernaut gets sent after Thor, and it's the Eric Masterson Thor. He's hanging out with Hercules. One of my favorite things about reading these old school comics, especially these old school comics that are tied into these like crossovers and stuff, because these are the ones that I used to read when I was growing up, because I wanted to read everything, what's going on, right? But you get little snippets of what's going on in the Thor book at the time. And Eric Masterson is Thor. He's still got to hit the hammer, all that jazz. Hercules is just kind of living with them, lounging around, being a couch potato, a couch surfer, if you will. But it's real fun stuff. You get such a tiny little bit of the New Warriors in here. Basically what you have is you have Nova, Namorita, and the others getting the call to action, because the Juggernaut shows up and destroys Thor, just completely takes him out. There's this crazy moment where Mjolnir doesn't even affect Juggernaut. It completely loses its momentum before it even hits Juggernaut, and as it's going back to Thor, Juggernaut rides it back and just demolishes Thor. Really intense, really crazy stuff if you really think about it. So just the epic battle between Juggernaut and Thor alone makes this comic book worth it. But then you have the introduction of the idea that the New Warriors are going to band together. They're a team. What's going on? And then we meet this new character, Dwayne Taylor. That's the Night Thrasher. You meet him. He seems like he's a kid of privilege. We're going to soon find out that's not necessarily the case, but he's in there. He's working out. He's a Batman-esque character. He's very focused, and we really don't know anything else about him except for that he's got a team around him. They're like, you're jumping in over your head, kid. You don't know what you're going to do, and that's pretty much it. And then after Thor gets taken out by Juggernaut at the end of the issue, that's when the New Warriors show up, and they're about to take on Juggernaut. So their very first threat that they face is the Juggernaut. How crazy is that, right? There's also this backup story in there with Beta Ray Bill. It's pretty cool, too. So move on to 412. In this issue, you have the New Warriors completely tackling the Juggernaut and definitely handling their own, including Dwayne. Straight up, with no fear, Night Thrasher grabs his skateboard and just shreds right on through to Juggernaut. He does get very amped up. Juggernaut just starts ignoring him because he's not doing anything, but it doesn't stop Dwayne from trying. All the other, like Namorita and Nova, are like basically the powerhouses of the New Warriors, especially in these early days, because Marvel Boy and Firestar haven't quite learned their full capabilities. In fact, they don't even really learn that until they become Avengers later on in the beautiful run by Kurt Busiek and George Perez. We'll talk about that one day, right? Surely. But anyway, in Mighty Thor number 412, so the the New Warriors show up. There it is, right there. They're there. They take on the Juggernaut. Thrasher just goes straight after him with his skateboard. A great dynamic energy there from Ron Frenz's artwork. I really, really like it. It's so good, and it's so cool to recollect on this and to think that without even any question, Dwayne just goes after the Juggernaut, one of the most powerful villains out there in the Marvel Universe, and he completely kind of handles it. But he does let his rage get the better out of him. He's about to get taken out. Firestar comes and helps him out, gets him out of there, and then Namorita and Nova throw him. Then they, what happens here? So yeah, but that doesn't stop them. They cannot stop the Juggernaut. They eventually, Thor comes back, reawakens, hits him with lightning, crazy lightning, nothing happens, and he brings out the God Force, and he's just doing everything he can. They get him eventually down into this giant cavern because Thor hits him with all this energy. Nova and Namorita throw all these like iron I-beams on him and stuff. Firestar melts him down. Thor like brings in a frosty wind to like harden it and all that stuff, and then they pick up this giant glass cone-shaped type weird-looking thing, and Thor just whisks it away with his hammer. He opens a portal, whisks it away, and then he's like, Juggernaut's going to come out of this very soon, so let's just dip him somewhere. And then out in space or somewhere in space, lost in space and time, the Juggernaut pops up, and he's like, where am I? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Nothing stops the Juggernaut. So a very silly story, but very fun, and it's a really great introduction to the New Warriors, because even though they were teenagers and they were new characters, and all these other characters had been introduced already, Firestar, for instance, in the Amazing Spider-Man, or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon, but all these other characters had previously existed in the Marvel Universe except for Night Thrasher. So this is the very first time we see him, and all we know of him is that he's kind of like at physical perfection. He's armored up. He doesn't have powers. He's got some anger issues. That anger is directed towards crime, towards criminals for some reason, and he's not afraid of even a threat like the Juggernaut. And he skates. He's on a skateboard. He's a Thrasher. He's a Thrasher at night. He's the Night Thrasher. As silly as it sounds, it was perfect for 1989. It was beautiful. It was luxurious. I loved it. I got into it. I've always loved Night Thrasher. And I feel like recently Night Thrasher has been kind of underutilized, kind of taken advantage of, taken for granted. I think that Dwayne has a very, very bright future at the Marvel Universe if they would actually use him and get a great writer to use him. People I would recommend, like David F. Walker, Brian Hill, I think they would do exceptional work with the character. Absolutely. I'd love to see him show up in the Miles Morales Spider-Man book and kind of be like a little bit of a mentor to Saladin Ahmed. I would love to see him show up in Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's Venom book. That would be great to see Night Thrasher and Venom teaming up to take out some crooks on the streets of New York at night. That'd be great stuff to see. That could be really, really cool and beneficial in bringing Dwayne back into the public spotlight. There's supposed to be that New Warriors TV show. They made it, but I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to see that. It seems like they kind of were going a little bit more jokey with that. Dwayne is not a jokey character. He is definitely a serious character. It starts off very solidly letting us know that Dwayne is no joke. And I'm very excited to continue this reread of all of Dwayne's adventures. And we're going to go into the next few. In the next video, we're going to get into New Warriors. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, we're going to keep doing them anyway because this is for the Night Thrasher fans. This is for Thrasher Nation. You can follow my Twitter page at Let's Thrasher, and you can just subscribe here as well and get these videos. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We really do appreciate everything. Join us at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts, blogs, and a whole lot more. And join us on our official Facebook group, the PCP Army, where we talk about pop culture, all that stuff and more, interact together. Me, the rest of the PCP crew, excitable that we are, and the fans, super excitable we are. All that and more can be found at the PCP Army, popculturephilosophers.com. Thank you guys so much. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, or should I say, let's talk Night Thrasher. Keep on reading. Keep on thrashing.